Like and subscribe right now, or you're going to have terrible luck for the next week. Extinction of Earth species is something that just can't be avoided. After all, we only have ourselves to blame for some of these. It would be tragic if the rhinoceros or the Bengal tiger vanished from the face of the Earth. But then again, that's evolution. And if evolution has taught us anything at all, it is adapting to survive. Thank goodness we humans have brains, and though we blast each other off the planet once in a while, we still possess the intelligence to exist longer than most species. But then again, had it not been for evolution, there are several bone-chilling animals who would have ensured our extinction. And I'm not talking about a T-Rex. That'd be a poodle in front of some of these bad babies. You'll be glad to know that the animals on this list are extinct. Trust me, we're better off without these 20 scary animals you won't believe existed. Number 20. Purosaurus. Forget about being wowed at the size of a saltwater crocodile. These badasses made their livings in the rivers of prehistoric Earth. The Lake Placid monster may just turn tail and run when coming face to face with the gigantic Camion Purosaurus. This was the largest living crocodile in the world, and it grew to a whopping 43 feet. Compare that to the other large prehistoric croc, the 23-foot Pleurosaurus. And that would be tiny in comparison. Evidence from the bone fossils has found the Purosaurus lived in the Amazon and South America. Its bite was 20 times stronger than that of a great white, and twice as strong as a Tyrannosaurus rex. Its unusually large size was the reason for it going extinct. Number 19. Helicoprion, the buzzsaw killer. Just the name shark is enough to make people jump, especially if you shout it out loud in the water. Today, humans are fearful of something like the great white. But what if the Helicoprion was still alive? Would the sight of it be enough to freeze us in fear? This is one predator that existed in the oceans during the Permian period, 290 million years ago. And all it looked like was huge, gigantic mouth and teeth. Today, there is a smaller relative of this bad guy existing in the world, and that is the Chimera, found only in the deep. Number 18. Pulmonoscorpius kirktonensis. Being bitten by a scorpion can be painful, but it still isn't a big deal most times. Imagine if you were bitten by the prehistoric giant Pulmonoscorpius, a 3-foot scorpion and one of the nastiest creatures of the Viscayan period, 338 million years ago. At that time, Earth's oxygen levels were so high that pretty much everything grew to gigantic sizes. Thank goodness, this dangerous bug went extinct years ago, because I'm sure its sting may have been worse than third-degree torture. Number 17. Platybelodon. Elephants are gentle giants, and hey, even woolly mammoths don't look so bad. But the Platybelodon is something that can give you a nightmare, especially because of its weird tusks that were shaped just like a spade. Thankfully though, the Platybelodon was an herbivorous animal that existed during the Miocene period, almost 5 million years ago. The Platybelodon was found across Africa, Asia, and the Caucasus. It loved grassy savannas, and scientists say that the shovel was most probably meant for eating bark from trees. I guess you could say its bark was worse than its bite. Number 16. The Adestus. The Adestus may not have been as big as a megalodon, but this is one dino shark that looked like the vampire of the deep. Damn, its unusual mouth and protruding teeth is enough to give a great white shark nightmares in its sleep. The Adestus was a shark that existed in the Devonian period, 60 million years ago. Like the Helicoprion, it did not shed its teeth but just kept growing new ones, which just kept pushing its older teeth and gums forward. You can well imagine the intimidating mouth this creature had, and possibly might have been the scariest shark in the whole deep. Number 15. Megalania. You might have seen the Komodo dragon on a TV show, or if you visited Indonesia. These are the largest lizards on Earth, but yet they don't look that intimidating. Be thankful that these guys have been brought down to size, because if they existed like the Megalania, you wouldn't even go near them if they were in a cage. The Megalania was a 1,300-pound, 23-foot-long monster with powerful jaws, and it was highly poisonous too. The Megalania lived in ancient Australia only 50,000 years ago and was the largest terrestrial lizard ever known to have existed. Number 14. Megapiranha. Megapiranha may be the name of a cheap horror flick on sci-fi late at night, but that doesn't mean these nasty creatures didn't exist. The Megapiranha was a 4-foot-long flesh-eating fish, and it frequented the rivers in Argentina and South America. This man-eater lived during the late Miocene period, 8 to 10 million years ago, and had one of the strongest bites at the time. A group of Megapiranha could strip a large animal to bone in minutes. When you consider the fact that a normal piranha can bite off a toe of a human, one shudders thinking what these bad boys could do. Number 13. Tasmanian tiger. The largest known carnivorous marsupial of modern times looked quite frightening. and is one of the first known animals of the modern world to have gone extinct, only 80 years ago. Known as the thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger looked like a jungle cat, recognized by the stripes on its back. The last known thylacine died in Hobart Zoo in Tasmania in 1936. But some naturalists believe that these creatures are still alive and prowling Tasmania's remote northwestern region. Teams from the UK's Centre for Fortean Zoology are still scouting the region, hoping to find what is locally known as the Tassie tiger. Number 12. Anomalocaris. We all love shrimp, don't we? But if the Anomalocaris existed today, it might be a different story. Not even coconut and butter can make this guy look appetizing. This creepy-looking creature of the deep is a relation to arthropods, and was known as an apex predator, and it existed in waters from America to Austria and China. As fossils prove, they grew to about 3 feet in length and had extremely strong jaws. Thankfully, we don't see such weird and bizarre creatures anymore, or else no one would ever venture back into the water. Number 11. Dunkleosteus. Meet the Dunkleosteus, a monster fish that could chomp through bone. The Dunkleosteus was a menacing creature in the water who lived 360 million years ago. Its most notable feature was its heavy armor and massive length, with the species growing up to 30 feet long. Their mouths were beak-like and could even pierce armor, suggesting that they were a cannibalistic species. The Dunkleosteus had huge, stirring jaws that could open and snap shut in milliseconds. Number 10. Haast's eagle. You might have heard about different eagles, including the mite harpy eagle, that can carry away even a small goat. But what would you say to an eagle that could even carry you away if it wanted? The Haast's eagle is one majestic but deadly raptor, and it weighed close to 30 pounds. It was known to have terrorized the South Islands of New Zealand. Local Maori legends say that the eagle was known to carry off little children. This wasn't a prehistoric raptor, but it still went extinct in the year 1400 as a result of tribes cutting off its food source. But there was an even more terrifying flying monster once, the extinct Phorusoceti, who crushed skulls like melons. Number 9. Phorusroceti. If there were birds more terrifying than the Haast eagle, it's the Phorusroceti, also called terror birds, who could crush skulls like melons. Terror birds lived in North and South America 2 million years ago and grew to over 10 feet tall. Whew, that's one big bird I would never want an autograph from. And I feel like saying shoe would be detrimental to my health or skull. The Phorusroceti could kill their prey consisting of other animals by simply cracking their skulls with their gigantic feet and beaks. Number 8. Thylacoleo. Also called the marsupial lion or pouch lion. These scary carnivore creatures existed during the Pliocene period, almost 2 million years ago. These aggressive animals were also the largest mammalian predators in Australia at the time, and weighed almost 130 kilograms, roughly the size of a small lion. But don't underestimate these guys, who may not have grown to the size of lions, because their bite was dangerous. Thylaceo had the strongest bite of any mammal species, living or extinct, so it's basically a record holder of sorts, even in our time. In fact, their favorite meals were giant kangaroos. Number 7. The Mosasaurus. Made famous by the 2015 movie Jurassic World, the Mosasaurus was at first a lizard that was just 3 feet long. With reducing ocean levels and rising oxygen, this little guy quickly evolved into a 60-foot monster that looked like a dinosaur whale. A Mosasaurus weighed almost 30,000 pounds, and was unsurprisingly a top predator of its time. Thank goodness we don't have them alive anymore. Number 6. The Gigantopithecus. King Kong may have been an imposing figure in movies, but how would it feel seeing him in real life? The Gigantopithecus proves how Bigfoot roamed prehistoric Earth at one point. These gigantic apes roamed Asia just around 1,000 years ago, and are now extinct. A Gigantopithecus stood over 10 feet tall, and looked like a combination between an orangutan and a gorilla. It's a relief to know that these almost human-like monsters were vegetarian. Their arm span alone was a gigantic 12 feet. So picture this guy giving you a big old bear hug. Hopefully he knows his own strength. Number 5. Arctodus. Grizzly bears are large and polar bears are larger. But when it comes to prehistoric Arctodus, these guys are teddy bears in comparison. Don't be fooled by this guy when he's called a short-nosed bear, because the Arctodus was anything but cute. These were twice the size of a large polar bear, and they were strictly carnivores. An Arctodus ate almost 35 pounds of meat daily, and have gone down on record as the largest bears to inhabit the Earth. Number 4. Deinosuchus. The word Deinosuchus means terrible crocodile, and yes, they made sure to live up to their reputation. This is one of the biggest and meanest big daddies out there, and perhaps one of the largest creatures of prehistoric times. The reptile was so aggressive that they would get into fights with the Dino King, the T-Rex. Dinosaur fossils have been discovered with the Deinosuchus teeth marks on their necks and bodies, proving how these ancient crocs loved hunting dinosaurs. Number 3. Titan Boa. Did you ever see the movie Anaconda? Now that was a giant of a snake, but hey, it might just look like a worm in front of the gigantic Titan Boa. The Titan Boa was a giant snake, and it grew to over 40 feet in length and weighed just over a ton. This vicious reptile frequented northern Colombia during the Paleocene period 53 million years ago. Like its smaller cousins, the Titan Boa also killed through the constriction and swallowing their prey whole. Number 2. The Megalodon. The giant meg was one of the meanest predators of the ocean, and perhaps the largest creature on the planet. The great white you may have seen in Jaws would seem an insect in front of this sea monster that measured more than 60 feet long and weighed a maximum of 60 tons. The meg was so intimidating, it would make a great white tremble in fear with its 7-inch teeth. A megalodon loved feasting on whales, and many believe that this fearsome prehistoric marine monster may still be alive. But wait till you see our number 1. Something that feasts on the meg for breakfast. Number 1. The Livyatan. Number 1 is the dreaded Livyatan, a whale with a mouth so large it could even eat a megalodon. Livyatan existed during the Miocene period, almost 9 million years ago, and inhabited waters off South America, South Africa, and Australia. These aggressive predators of the ocean grew up to a maximum of 60 feet, almost similar to a sperm whale, making them one of the largest predators to have ever existed. But if that wasn't enough, the teeth of a Livyatan was 1.2 feet long, making them the largest biting teeth known to have existed in any animal. Its jaws were a 14-inch flesh-ripping, bone-tearing machine that most probably ate megalodons and sharks for breakfast.